Have you ever dreamed of becoming rich and famous overnight? What if we told you that there was a man who did just that, but with a twist? He was not a genius, a hero, or a visionary. He was a fraud, a liar, and a fool. His name was Charles Ponzi, and he pulled off one of the biggest scams in history. In this video, we'll tell you the story of Ponzi, the financial idiot who scammed the world. Stay tuned to find out how he did it and how he got caught. Get ready to blast off into a universe of mind-blowing facts, money-making secrets, motivation that'll fire you up, and an education like no other. So, buckle up and subscribe now for a ticket to the most thrilling journey of your life. Hit that notification bell, because Thought Heaven is where your dreams take flight. Charles Ponzi was born in 1882 in Lugo, Italy. He came from a respectable family, but had a rebellious streak and a taste for luxury. He dreamed of becoming rich and famous, but he lacked the skills and the work ethic to achieve his goals. He was a poor student, a bad employee, and a compulsive gambler. He spent his money on fancy clothes, fine wine, and women. He was always looking for shortcuts and schemes to make money fast. In 1903, he decided to try his luck in America. He boarded a ship with only $2.50 in his pocket and a suitcase full of hopes. He arrived in Boston, where he found a job as a dishwasher in a restaurant. He worked hard and learned English, but he was dissatisfied with his low wages and menial tasks. He wanted to be part of the high society, not the working class. He soon quit his job and moved to Montreal, Canada, where he got involved in various shady businesses. He worked as a clerk for a bank that catered to Italian immigrants, but he discovered that the bank was actually a fraud that was stealing money from its customers. He also joined a group of con artists who were selling fake stocks and bonds to unsuspecting investors. He learned the tricks of the trade from these seasoned swindlers, but he also got caught by the police and spent 2 years in prison for forgery. After his release, he returned to Boston and married a stenographer named Rose Gnecco. He tried to settle down and start an honest career, but he soon got bored and restless. He experimented with various business ventures, such as importing fruit, selling advertising space, and publishing a trade magazine, but none of them were successful or profitable. He was about to give up on his dreams when he stumbled upon an idea that changed his life. In 1919, he received a letter from a company in Spain that wanted to buy some of his magazines. The letter also contained an international reply coupon, IRC, which was a voucher that could be exchanged for postage stamps in any country that participated in the Universal Postal Union. The idea behind IRCs was to facilitate international correspondence by allowing people to send prepaid reply envelopes to their foreign contacts. Ponzi realized that there was an opportunity to make money from these coupons. He noticed that the exchange rates between different currencies had changed significantly after World War I, creating an arbitrage possibility. For example, one IRC could be bought in Italy for 1 lira, which was worth about 5 cents in American dollars at the time. The same IRC could be exchanged for 6 American stamps in the United States, which were worth about 30 cents in total. This meant that by buying IRCs cheaply in Europe and selling them at face value in America, one could make a 500% profit on each transaction. Ponzi thought that this was the perfect scheme to make him rich overnight. He decided to set up a company called the Securities Exchange Company, SEC, not to be confused with the federal agency that regulates the stock market, and offer investors a chance to participate in his lucrative business. He promised them a 50% return on their investment within 45 days, or a 100% return within 90 days. He claimed that he had agents all over Europe who were buying IRCs in bulk and sending them to him by mail. He also said that he had contracts with large postal authorities that guaranteed him access to unlimited amounts of coupons. If you want to know more, read this book. Link is in description. Ponzi's offer sounded too good to be true, but it also appealed to many people who were looking for easy money in the aftermath of the war. Ponzi used his charm and charisma to persuade potential investors that he had discovered a secret formula for wealth creation. He also paid his early investors on time and in full, using money from new investors who were flocking to his office every day. He created an illusion of success and credibility that attracted even more customers. Soon, Ponzi was making millions of dollars from his scheme. He moved into a luxurious mansion, bought expensive cars and jewelry, and hired hundreds of employees and agents. He also expanded his operations to other cities and states, opening branches of his company across the country. He became a celebrity and a hero among the public, especially among his fellow Italian immigrants who saw him as a role model and a benefactor. He donated money to charities, churches, and schools, and even planned to build a new bank and a new hospital for his community. However, Ponzi's scheme was doomed to collapse sooner or later. The problem was that he was not actually buying or selling any IRCs at all. He was simply shuffling money from one investor to another while keeping a large portion for himself. He was also spending more than he was earning, living a lavish lifestyle that he could not afford. He was constantly in need of new cash to pay his old debts and maintain his image. Moreover, Ponzi's scheme attracted the attention of the authorities and the media, who started to investigate and expose his fraud. The first to challenge him was Clarence Barron, the owner of the Wall Street Journal and the Boston Post, who sent reporters to dig up dirt on Ponzi. They found out that Ponzi had a criminal record in Canada, that he had no contracts with any postal authorities, and that there were not enough IRCs in circulation to support his claims. They also calculated that in order to fulfill his promises, Ponzi would have to buy 160 million IRCs, which would require 53 tons of stamps and 18 cargo ships to transport them. The Boston Post published a series of articles that revealed Ponzi's lies and inconsistencies and warned the public about his scam. The articles caused a panic among Ponzi's investors, who rushed to withdraw their money from his company. Ponzi tried to calm them down and reassure them that everything was fine, but he soon ran out of cash and could not meet their demands. He also faced legal action from the state and federal authorities, who accused him of mail fraud, securities fraud, and tax evasion. If you want to know more, read this book. Link is in description. Ponzi was arrested on August 12, 1920, exactly 1 year after he started his scheme. He pleaded guilty to mail fraud and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. He was also sued by thousands of investors who wanted their money back, but he had nothing left to give them. He had lost everything he had gained from his scheme and left behind a trail of debt and devastation. Ponzi spent the rest of his life in and out of jail, facing more charges and lawsuits. He also tried to start new scams in different countries, such as Brazil and Italy, but he failed miserably. He died in 1949 in Rio de Janeiro, poor and forgotten by the world. Ponzi's scheme was one of the biggest and most notorious scams in history, but it was not the first or the last of its kind. Many other fraudsters have followed his example and used his name to deceive people with false promises of high returns. Some of the most famous examples are Bernie Madoff, who ran a $65 billion Ponzi scheme for decades until 2008, Alan Stanford, who defrauded investors of $7 billion through a fake bank in Antigua, and Robert Vesco, who stole $224 million from investors through a bogus mutual fund in the 1970s. Ponzi schemes are still prevalent today, especially on the internet, where they take various forms such as pyramid schemes, multi-level marketing schemes, cryptocurrency scams, and crowdfunding scams. They prey on people's greed, ignorance, and trust, and exploit their emotions and psychology. They are hard to detect and prevent because they often use sophisticated techniques and technologies to hide their tracks and evade the law. It's important to protect yourself from such schemes. Always do your research before investing your money. Consult with financial advisors and be wary of investments that promise high returns with little risk. Remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Always do your research before investing your hard-earned money. That's all for today's episode on Ponzi schemes. If you found this video informative and entertaining, give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and as always, keep soaring in the thought heaven.